Welcome to the Art of the Intuitive Mind. I'm your host, Romilly. I hope that you find something in this session that enables you to connect to your inner truth.
Okay, great. Okay, so in this session, I'm coming from Australia and I'm meeting with the lovely Joyce Vanderlely, who's in New Zealand. So yeah, I have to apologise for my noisy birds background. I'm hoping that Zoom cuts that all out because they're really loud in the morning. And also I'm a bit shadowed under the umbrella because the sun suddenly came up. But yeah, so hello Joyce, and thank you very much for joining us for the Art of the Intuitive Mind. It's lovely.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's always so cool to chat with somebody that is on the same, in moving the same realms. Yes.
Yeah,
so
fab.
yes, I'm really nice. It's really nice to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, you too. So yeah, would you be able to tell us and everybody watching a little bit about yourself and your work in the world and how you came to be in New Zealand as well? You're
Yes.
from Europe.
The world is a big place, right?
Yeah.
So I am Joyce Vanderlely. I'm originally from the Netherlands, Holland in Europe, and I moved to New Zealand. I immigrated to New Zealand in 1995. So that's quite a while ago. Initially, we lived on the South Island. I came together with my partner. We lived on the South Island in Christchurch and started a new life, a better quality of life. That's the reason why we left, right? And New Zealand is a beautiful, beautiful country. The funny thing is that in no time we had recreated our hamster wheels. And it took a little while for us to realize that. And anyway, long story, right? There are a lot of stories I can tell, but I had two kids and they were both born in Christchurch. And then in 2010 to 2011, we had the earthquake experience, which was eye-opening, to say the least. It's, I don't tell these stories to go like, oh, poor me. It's not about that, but they are major things that suddenly make you open your eyes. And I realized then that it was time to really just follow my intuition more. And live for the full 100% a creative life. Before that, I had always been slaloming a little bit between finding a proper job to pay the bills and then do creativity on the side, then not being happy, then leaning more into the creative side of me, not having enough money, being dragged back. It's like that. That's up and down roller coaster kind of life. And so the earthquakes really made me open my eyes. It really opened all my senses. It's like, come on, what is life about? So in hindsight, it's a good thing that they happened because they did change, I changed my trajectory in my life for the better, I believe. And also it opened another pathway so that I started helping others, leaning into their creative bones and really allowing that to be the medicine that it is, the powerful medicine that it always had been for me. But then I could also help others, feel into that and start using that for themselves. So now I live on the North Island. We couldn't manage to hang on longer there because we lost too much. And so we moved with whatever we had left to the North Island. I'm in the Bay of Plenty, beautiful name.
Yeah, amazing.
But yes, this is another beautiful place in the world, in New Zealand, in the world. And again, there are things that we are so conditioned. We have been so conditioned by society, by our upbringing, by the things we read, the things that are supposed to be in a certain way, that you need to be alert to even stay on your own track, right? And it's easy for me to feel into my intuition. It is a challenge to trust that intuition, simply because that is not something that we are taught. So that is the work that I have been constantly doing myself, and I will keep doing because we're always a work in progress, I believe. And I am enjoying the journey. right? I am enjoying every little bit, even your little birds there. Is it a,
Yeah,
is it a kookaburra?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, because they'll start laughing. They have an amazing laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe I did hear. Yeah, I think I heard one laughing earlier, so that probably.
But the thing is that, and this will come back, like this is synchronicity. These are synchronicities, right? The birds being with you and piping in now,
Yeah.
it also has a meaning. For me, it's like, of course they are there, and of course they want to chat with us, and of course they want to pitch in their little, they want to put their little message in, because that, yeah. Let's just go to the next part of your interview, because it will come back, and I will. This is my thing, right? I weave together creative threads into my life and spiritual threads into. I'm like I feel like I'm a weaver, because I weave. I'm a multi-passionate and a mixed media artist. So I like a lot of things, and I pull threads from many directions, and I love to weave together magic carpets or magic cloaks. So depending on what you want to talk about safety, security, feeling good, feeling loved, feeling comfortable, feeling protected, then let's weave a cloak, that will keep you safe, your personal cloak with the threads of your life, of your experiences, of your stories. If you want to expand and transform and travel, then let's weave a magic carpet, so that it can take you wherever you need to go, make your dreams come true.
Such a gorgeous way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm a weaver like that, it's like I every time I talk about my creative journey and how I apply it in my life and how I help others to apply it in their life to, for your benefit, so that you can actually, I love dreaming, and I love making dreams come true and following your intuitive thread to your dreams, and how do you do that? And I talk about magic carpets often. Then it's like, yeah, maybe it's a magic cloak. Maybe it's like it's something like you want to keep yourself safe. You want to feel protected. So it's like weaving, but your stories, because everybody is different. There's no one size fits all. There's no one magic thing. There's a lot of magic, but there's no one magic thing that works for everybody. So
I think that's the thing of that's part of my goal with all of the wonderful speakers that have agreed to come and speak on this event, is that it kind of gives people ideas of things that might help them to connect to their intuition, but none of it is you've got to do this, this and this. It's all about learning what works for you. And I think also giving yourself permission for it to change, and for this works for now, and then actually know something else. And it's just having ideas and feeling, and making you feel like there are lots of possibilities. So yeah, I'm interested in, because you said that the earthquakes were a real point where a kind of shaking up of right, come on, you need you need to start doing what you really want to be doing, and not getting caught up in you're saying choosing a creative life. But did you, obviously that came from your intuition of because you could have gone the other way of I need the safety, security, I need to have everything as secure and safe as it can be from the big shake up. But in following your intuition there, I mean, it might be an impossible question to answer, but how do you think that it enables you to trust your intuition? Because that kind of event can be so, well,
so here's my take on this. And I realize I actually have never really said, I've introduced myself, I never said what I do. Yeah. What I do is I'm an artist, and I'm a guide. I coach, but I don't like the word coach. I like the word guide, because as you said, everybody's path and journey is different. So I like to support people on their path, right? So I feel like I'm a guide. What the earthquakes did was I had to make my way home on foot, because the things were there was too much destruction, and I couldn't get my car out of the car park building and all that. So I walked, and it slowed everything down. I felt like I was walking in slow motion, almost observing a movie, observing myself as if I had gone out of my body and I was watching myself walk. And so the more and more I meditate and I journey with that, the more I understand every time still, you know, after all these years, the more clarity comes out of this. Yes, I think definitely that my spirit, because I believe that we are spirits having a human experience. So I believe truly that my spirit detached at that moment and watched me, the human me, walk my journey back home, and observed and allowed, because of that, there was a disconnection or an opening, if you will, you know, a disconnection of the two of me, but there an opening of all the doors of my senses. Like I think I see more when I observe more when I look. When I look, I see more. When I smell, you know, I there's more to everything, to all my senses. It's like they opened up. And it also, you say, like, how did you come to trust your creativity, your intuition? I think that that is the only thing that you can trust is yourself. There is only, if you get down to everything, in the end, the only thing that you can fall back on is yourself. If you are looking for crutches outside of yourself, support outside of yourself, that can be an assistance, but it always comes down to you. The core is you. I call it your soul self. And I think that if you find ways, if you find the ways to connect with that soul self of you, and find that trust, that's the trust that you really need to find, is that trust with yourself, the love for yourself, the acceptance of yourself, the wisdom that is inside of you. But truly trust that. You know, why are we constantly looking outward for recognition, for validation, for it is simply because we are not validating ourselves, valuing ourselves, you know. So I think that that really it opened up the security within myself. And realizing that whatever was going to come next was up to me. And so I also never really you know, I mean, without any judgment, everybody responds differently. Everybody responds. I've seen so many different people respond differently to this. And this is a natural disaster. And I know that there are other people and other natural disasters in the world, but you can experience actually the same emotional or similar emotional things in a big layoff from work, an ugly divorce, or a breakup, or a family feud, or, you know, something like that, or the loss of somebody dear to you, close to you. You know, you can experience the same emotions from different events. And so we all encounter horrible things at some point in our lives, you know, things that we rather not. And then it is not so much like, oh, that has happened, and I stay in that, like, because that has happened, this is now my life. I choose to, I talk about these experiences because they changed a lot for me, but I'm not going to look back the whole time and say, oh, because of that, now I cannot do this, or I don't own my own home, or, you know, because I'm still renting, for instance, you know. And so I can easily lay blame to an event, or a person, or a situation, or the politics, or whatever, you know, or the tax department, I don't know, whatever. But it doesn't help you move forward. So I think once you trust that the answer is always within you, then you can just look forward and pave your path, you know.
I feel like it's, you know, you were saying about the conditioning and the kind of like the beliefs that we adopt, and like if you're really, it's almost feels as though if you're so caught up in that and not listening to your intuition because you've always thought that what you're supposed to follow, what you should do, that then when something really big happens, it can be difficult not to feel like, well, I did everything I should be doing, whereas in fact it's like, if you can listen to your intuition, then you actually, in everything, there's always something that comes from every experience, whether it's good or bad. And so yeah, I think that being able to trust your intuition is what
and creative expression is a beautiful way to connect with that intuition.
Yeah.
So, and that is the thing, like, yes, I'm an artist. I am not really interested in teaching somebody how to paint a perfect sunflower, for instance. You know, that's not the thing. It is like the journey, the process for you. What I love is that somebody feels what the process, the journey, the doing actually does for them, for their soul self, you know. And so when I see and feel that connection is made, that is what lights me up, you know. That is what lights me up, because then they can use it as a tool, as a medicine, as something to propel them forward and to have their back, because that is part of you that constantly has your back, you know. I mean, it's my way for meditation. For a long time, I said I cannot meditate. I'm a very restless. I've got restless hands. So I always need to do something, you know. And so the whole concept of meditation, it's like, oh yeah, sit still for half an hour and empty your mind. I mean, that's just, in the beginning, I thought, well, that's another thing I cannot do. Here is another thing I'm a failure at, you know. There are so many different ways that you can meditate, you know. So if you find the way that fits for you, then hey, that's right. That's good. That's the thing that you need to do then, you know. And so it is finding that, and there's a thing, like, as I said, I'm a guide, you know. There are a lot of people that are maybe afraid to lean into their intuition or to begin to trust that. So that is why people like you and me are here, to help others begin that trust, that process, that, you know, that is okay. So going maybe against what we have been taught and should, like that word only already, oh, you know, what we should be doing, or what would the neighbors say and all that, you know, that's just, it's all in your mind. It's all stuff that it's easier to just empty that and let that go, and then focus on you. And it is not, it's not egocentric or whatever, you know. Just focus on you, begin with you. And when you've made that, then that base, that foundation is solid. Then you can be the calm in the chaos, whatever chaos life throws around you, you know.
Yeah, it's, I think it's really interesting as well, though, that it can be difficult to, like, if you've spent your whole life following the shoulds, to know where the base is, like, to learning to listen is
it's an adventure.
yeah
It's honestly, it's truly, it's a quest, and it's an adventure to find it and to connect with it and to keep it going, because then it's maintenance, right? It's not like you once find it and then that's it. As I said, I'm a work in progress myself. I think that you're continuously evolving or growing or adapting, recalibrating, you know. You go out in a little boat and you set course, but the waves will change your course on the way. So that's how life is as well. So yeah,
it's funny how you can, I mean, I find, like, even just coming away, we're in Australia for a month, and we've been here for just a week, but just like coming out of my routine, it's like I feel I have brought some stuff to create with me, but I haven't really, like, found the space yet, and I can feel myself, I like feel all out of sorts, and it's like I'm missing I just feel like I'm not connecting enough with myself.
Well, what is keeping you from doing a little thing every day?
I don't know. I think it's like we've kind of like moved to a different place. Anyway, that's what today I was like, today I've kind of like got over the jet lag, just settled in now. So now it's time to start doing my little travel collages, and it's interesting. I don't know. I think I always find any change actually can be really, like, I sort of forget where I was, and it's like I need to find my feet in a different scenario. But
so, well, that's the other thing. Then, if you know how to find yourself, if you have, because that's the thing, like, it's a practice, right? So now, for instance, I can be aware that I am going off course, or that I am not following my own teaching.
Mm,
And so I am aware, so I catch it more quickly. I
yeah.
catch it more quickly, and then I have the tools that I can bring myself back
Mm,
in an instant, almost, you know,
yeah.
almost like that. But so that is a practice that you can do. Then it's like, okay, no, stop, pattern interrupt. This is what
Yeah.
I do. Boom, I'm back. You know, I'm solid, I'm calm, I'm this core, this stable foundation, and then I can go again.
Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
that is the practice, that is the work. I mean, if you want to call it work, I think it's play. I think it's fun, you know, yeah. Mm.
Yeah. No, fab. So we haven't talked about our joyful objects. So let's do that before we continue with our intuition. So today,
Okay.
I when I was getting ready for this session, I was like, oh, what's my joyful object going to be? And then I immediately remembered that yesterday I got my nails done, and they're really, really like bright fluorescent pink with one that's a bit orange. So
Yeah.
I thought
So that's your happy thing.
that's my happy thing. I woke up and looked at them and was like, I love them. They're so shiny.
That's cool. That's cool.
So it's a bit of a funny one today. What about you, Joyce?
What did I bring? Well, I have a lot of stuff. As you can see around me, I have a lot
It's
of
gorgeous.
stuff. I like to surround myself with mementos and things, like I've got little altars and little sacred spaces everywhere. But okay, so I bring these. Very imperfect, perfectly imperfect little birds. They are wood carvings. There's a little, yeah, there is a whole story with birds, and that's why I really love that your bird, your bird in your garden is pitching in. So my partner of 38 and a half years transitioned in November. And this was a very quick, sudden, rough, ride. And so I believe that he's transitioned, so he's no longer physically here, but he is still with me, and he communicates through birds. So you know, I meet birds, and I don't care if people call me crazy. I honestly don't care. It works for me, you know, and that is the most important thing. And that is the same thing that I always say to my clients and to my students, and you know, to everybody that wants to listen, is do the thing that works for you. And whatever other people say you should be doing, or how you should go through a certain process, just trust your intuition. Again, trust your intuition. So the way that I have processed this whole experience, and also the aftermath, I have done it, of course, in accordance to his wishes, but also to how I want my life to be. I want it to be easy. I want it to be clean. I want it to be effortless. I want my life to flow, and I want to bring in as much light and fun as I can. We were on the same page.
You've got I think you've got a very loud response from the birds for that.
Yeah, I know. And so I take that, I embrace that, right? And so if other people go like, oh yeah, well, la la la, then that's fine. You know, that's fine. That's their story. That's fine. This is my story, right? So this is my story. He communicates through birds. I see birds all the time. And I know that they are everywhere. That's the thing. They are everywhere. They fly everywhere. But I will be somewhere. I know that this bird comes to me and looks at me. It doesn't have to be, you know, if I do my walk and suddenly this little bird comes in front of my path and stops, I stop and talk to the bird, and it looks at me in a certain way, and then it flies off. I know it takes messages. So I believe birds are messengers. Anyway, these birds are, and I was talking about perfectly imperfect and embracing your imperfections and all that earlier this week. So these birds, we bought in Jamaica. We went with a train trip to a rum factory. It was one of those touristy trips. And so this train was only going to go to the rum estate and show us around. So it wasn't going to pick up any local people on the way. but it stopped at certain villages. And I know that it stopped because those people had wares to sell. You know, they had baskets, they had clothes, they had weavings, they had carvings, anything. So, so we stopped at this particular station. And all these adult men came running to the windows, and the windows were open because, of course, it's hot there. So they were stuffing these trees, and they were about this big, carved trees through the windows because they only had a certain amount of time, and they would sell, of course, which is understandable. And being an artist, I recognize the amount of work that goes into things. So I appreciated the work, the workmanship, the carving actually that they had done. So they were trees with birds on the branches. Birds a little bit like these, a little bit smaller, I guess, but they all had very colorful eyes. But the what I think hideous, but I mean, this is my personal taste. They finished them off with high gloss varnish, and I am not a fan. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan. So I was looking at these trees and I thought, oh, I really want to support these people, but I don't like them, you know. I don't like that high gloss, and how can I, you know, anyway, among these, you know, in the squeak and the corners between arms and underneath, there were these little boys, and they were sticking up these birds. And they were, I think they must have either picked up offcuts from the work floor, or they have been given little bits. They are crooked. This one doesn't even have eyes. They are crooked. They fall off their stands. They wobbly. They all, you know, they have dents, but I love them. Yeah. And so we looked at each other and we thought, like, we're going to buy those of those little boys. And those boys were so proud. They were smiling and they were so happy. And the big guys actually didn't like it that we bought them. You know, I thought, like, why are you buying these ugly things? Look at my perfect tree. But so I'm using these also. So this all comes together in so many ways, right? I use these to tell a story about perfect imperfection by embracing perfection, imperfect things. And actually on that day, and now still, these imperfect birds have more value than those shiny trees that were seen as being the perfect thing. So where is your value? You know, what is your personal value? For some people, those trees might have been it. That's fine. For me, it were these crooked little birds. And now, you know, birds have become more important than they were before. You know, since November, they've just become a little bit more important. And I've always loved the idea of flying. I used to dream about flying as a girl. When I walked, I've got this mountain that I walk on here every week. When I get to the summit, I always feel like if I can open my arm, I can just soar over the Pacific Ocean. You know, I can go everywhere. There's this freedom with birds and wings, you know, but now it has an extra layer of meaning, you know. So, you know, that's how you create your story. And again, anybody can take from this what they want. And I don't really mind, because it doesn't matter what other people think.
It's so important to, like, allow yourself to be who you are and who you want to be, but it can be so hard. I feel like, I think it's an ongoing thing for me, but it's taken a really long time. Like, as a child, I think I always felt like, but even the thing of, like, just please other people, don't make a fuss, don't be too loud, don't be.
It's because our primal fears are like that, right? Our primal fears are for shelter, are for food, and are for belonging. That's all. That's the only fear that the three fears that we have, like primal fears. Do we have a roof over our head? Do we have food to eat, you know, to nourish ourselves? And do we belong? Do we have a tribe? Because in the cave times, those were the things. If you didn't have any of one of those, then you were doomed, right? So that is really what it is. But the thing is that we always think that other people look at us so much.
I know. Well, even like with my 7-year-old, she's constantly like, oh no, like she's so hyper aware. She thinks that everyone's going to see her doing something or looking stupid. It's like, literally nobody's even going to notice you in any moment. They're not going to remember.
No, but you need to grow older, I think, to realize that. that really everybody is so busy with their own life. They're looking at themselves. Have you ever seen those big Zoom meetings where you've got like the Brady Bunch?
Yeah.
You know that they have done studies where they have tracked people's gazes, like where they look at. And you know that the most people look at themselves, how they look in this little square. And the strange thing is here, I do mirror work with my clients, and I do mirror work myself. And even though we look at ourselves, like we observe ourselves, like, do I look good in that little square, like where there are 100? Really, are people looking at you? No, they're looking at themselves. But are they truly looking at themselves? Like, have you ever done mirror work and then truly looked into your eyes like you do your child or your loved one or somebody else? You know, that's the thing. Like, we look at ourselves, but superficially, like our reflection, but not truly within. And it's an interesting, subject. Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's interesting as well that I find, like, you can feel that some days you can go into a space and you feel really like hyper conscious, and other days you feel like totally relaxed. And it's like so interesting when you because you don't necessarily expect that. You know, it's not like you're feeling anxious all morning. It's just suddenly it's like, oh, weird, I'm really hyper aware today, and other days not at all. It's like, what's going on there? And actually, that leads me back into one of the questions.
Go on.
Away. So if have you kind of received, you've said about, well, I suppose you said about the earthquake and feeling as though you were in your soul self, did you call it? Would you say that's your kind of experience of really strong intuition, of like feeling, or how that's how you'd experience it?
So I've always been very intuitive as a child, but as I said, like, I've been conditioned and brought up to not believe in that. That was like, yeah, okay. You know, just there's nothing proven there. It's just your feeling. Get back into the real world. Let your feet touch the floor, please, Joyce. You know, it's all those kind of things. I mean, I grew up with very loving parents. I have nothing bad to say about them, honestly. The only thing is that, especially my dad, is very traditional and very much like, this is how it's supposed to be, and this is how things are done, and this is what you're doing then, you know. And so very much following in the regime kind of thing. So but apart from that, I've had a wonderful youth, you know. But yes, I've always been intuitive, but it's not always been cheered for. Yeah. So and because of that, and because I grew up with a dad that was very much, how can you prove something? It needs to be proven. It needs to where are the articles that explain it, So I have started to doubt my intuition because of that, you know. And so that is the thing. If you're conditioned or you're taught by teachers or parents or any other people around you, or books, you know, about something, that makes you start to doubt your own inner voice. And that is what happened to me. So I closed that door. I like to visualize things. So I sort of see myself, my inner works as a space where there are doors. And I think I must have just closed that door because it wasn't appreciated. It wasn't seen as important enough because there was no proof. So how can you live by something that is too woo-woo, too ethereal, too, you know, floaty? So for a long time, I get the feelings, but I didn't always act on them. And then I sometimes got a very strong feeling, and my response was the opposite to that because of how I was trained. And then I saw the outcome and I regretted not following my intuition. So, but this, people are so weird. Like, even though I had those experiences a couple of times, like I had gone against my intuition and the outcome was not desirable. And I thought, like, if only I had listened to my inner voice, and then still the next time I I did override my inner voice again. So that only happened a few times, right? And then the earthquakes happened, and then it was like, hello,
Yeah.
like, have you not been listening? It was really like that. I think those earthquakes have been like the wake-up call for me, like, hello, Joyce, we've been sending you messages this time, this time, this time. Why haven't you been listening? Well, now this. Is it now okay for you to listen? You know?
Yeah.
Loud enough? Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
really interesting, the thing of when you're aware of that, like, intuition there, and you're kind of like, oh, but no.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like sometimes, because it can feel really hard, and because you have to have so much trust that, especially if it's something where you're like, it's going to impact on other people as well, which often it is. Most things that we do, if we make changes and things, that it impacts on other people too, and so it's like, it can be really tricky to actually go for it.
But oh no, and I don't like the, yeah, I also try to look at the words that I use. And yes, it impacts other people too.
Yeah.
If I go against my intuition and the outcome is not what I wanted to have, then how I feel at that moment also impacts other people.
I completely agree.
Right?
Like, yeah.
So when I follow my intuition and I flow through my life, and I have now, my son is almost 22 and my daughter is 19, and I see the result or the outcome now, and I am so grateful that I have kids that actually will talk to me and tell me how they feel about it. When they were little, I just did my thing, right? And especially after the earthquakes, we changed a lot, and we talked a lot with the kids. They were primary school age then. So we talked a lot with them about everything and how we chose to respond, and do the thing after, because of course they also saw how many different people reacted and responded in different ways. And then they sometimes, I have a very, very curious daughter. So she always wanted to know why things. So and really deeply, she wouldn't let it go, so yeah, we had big conversations about things, about life choices and stuff, and so they actually tell me now that they are so happy the way we have done the things after the earthquakes, because, and they will explain why and how more grounded they feel in their life. And they are at the beginning. My daughter is studying, my son just has his first serious girlfriend. So it's like, but they talk about these things openly with me, with us before my partner passed, but with me also. And we have these discussions, and it's so good to feel and to hear that it has landed for them, even though I sometimes had my doubts, because then, you get, even though I was doing this work, I still have my parents. They are overseas, but they still will let me know if they approve of something the way I do it or not, right? And then it's still like, is this the right thing? Well, let's hope it's the right thing, And the good thing was that when my partner was still alive, or still around, we talked about it as well. And he always said, like, we just do it our way, and as long as we stick together and we have each other's back in our decisions, in our choices, then you can only do your best. So yeah, I think open discussions are important, also with yourself. So for those of you that are watching that are alone, that perhaps say like, yeah, well, I don't have a partner or whatever. Maybe you have a sister, maybe you have a sibling, maybe you have a good friend, or maybe you just indeed just have this conversation by yourself, and that is totally fine too, but have an open and honest conversation with yourself. And when you make a choice, when you do something in a certain way, be truthful to yourself why you choose to do it that way. And as long as that is clear and you can be okay with that, then it is okay, then it is okay. And if you can make yourself happy every day, because you cannot trust, you cannot put that pressure onto somebody else. Nobody else can make you happy. It needs to come from within. So if you can make yourself happy every day, if you can find a little star in every day, and you usually can, even
That's
in the really,
lovely.
even in the really dark days, you usually can find a little star. You know, if you can find a little star every day and focus on that, and be curious, be open-minded, look around, you know, then you're a more pleasant person to be with others, to be with your children, with your spouse, with your friends, with your family, with your co-workers, with the world, you know, then that ripple effects, that will, you know, that will spread, that vibe will spread.
Yeah.
And it's very much like a ball. You throw a ball nicely and it comes back to you nicely. You throw a ball with a lot of aggression, it comes back more aggressively as well. So it's like, you know, how you treat others, you will be treated, and that's how the law of attraction works, really. You know, and I'm a big believer in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes my life a lot happier and easier to live.
I think
And
that's a really interesting thing about like that. If you compare the like following the shoulds versus following your intuition and going in your flow, it's like, whoa, the difference of how you feel. Like most of the time, it's not about avoiding unpleasant experiences, because as we said, that's just part of life, and actually out of every experience, something can come that changes things. But yeah, it's like being in following your intuition just feels so much more. It just feels so much better.
Easy. Hey, we need, you're an artist. You're an artist. We need dark and light. We need shit. Otherwise, if you have no dark and light, you have no contrast. Contrast brings energy, and that's the energy we can play with. Whether it's painting colors, whether it's making music, whether it's dancing. Well, you know, you need highs and lows, darks and lights to play with. You know, otherwise, if it's everything is light, then there's no play. There's no energy either. Everything dark, you need that both ways, you know, so just embrace it. There's a shadowy thing. Okay, do your shadow work, feel bad, feel sad, and then take from that and find a little spark that you can drag with you then, you know?
Yeah, and like allowing yourself to be in the, so it's the flow thing as well though, isn't it? Because when stuff happens that's difficult, and if you're stuck in the shoulds and they're like, but it has the control, that's where it then makes it so much more difficult, because you can't move in it. You kind of get paralyzed by, oh, but everything's not how I thought it was, and now I'm completely lost. And it's like, but if you can listen
and you can say thank you that not everything is the same or as it would be, because it's more exciting that way. Right, it's more exciting that way. If there's no surprises in your day, how boring.
It feels like being open to the possibilities then, doesn't it? It's like instead of that control, it's like being able to be open to anything, and then it's like with curiosity rather than no resistance.
You have to be curious. You have to. I think, well, I mean, I can say you have to. No, you don't. You know, you choose. It's always your choice. It's always your choice. But and you know, no, it's like people come to I have studio here, I have studio space here, and I have another studio in town. And people come to me and they say like, Joyce, you're always happy. Or they go like, oh, you're not are you happy that it's Friday? Finally, it's weekend. And I go, I don't really care. Any day is a good day. I'm always good, right? I'm always good. And they look at me surprised, especially now, because you know, they know about the passing. And then they go like, are you really okay? And I said, yes, I'm okay. Yes, I'm okay. I speak to him through the birds. I get messages. He's just in another realm, and I keep my communication open in a different way. And they look at me like I'm crazy. But I also have a lot of people that go like, I wish I could live like you. And then I go, well, you can. You can. If you want to, if you truly want to, you can. It's your choice. It's always your choice. It's always your choice. And I don't say that my choice is the best way. It works for me. You know? If you don't feel fine, if you don't feel happy in your current situation, then have a look at what you can readjust. You know, have a look at what makes it makes it feel the way it does, and readjust. I mean, if you're painting and you go like, well, this doesn't look the way I want it to look, then go and have a look at what is it that is not right, and then try and fix it. Well, why can we not fix our life and our our focus and our outlook on life and our, you know, every day is a new beginning, every moment is a new moment, you know.
It's really interesting, that thing of people think, oh, I wish I could do that, and then it's like looking at but why is it that you feel like you can't do that? And it's really, again, I suppose it is just that is it the I'm not that, I'm like
you feel
person,
trapped. You know, you feel trapped actually, but you keep yourself trapped. You keep yourself trapped.
Yeah, it's not being in the possibility again, isn't it? It's like, this is who I am and this is all I can ever be. It's like, but actually, if you just allow yourself to flow and unfold and do whatever you want to be, instead of feeling like you're what somebody told you were.
Because who is your idol? You know, you can look at who is your idol, who do you admire, and what are they doing, and why are you not doing that? You know, why are you not doing something similar? Is it because what the neighbors would say, or what my husband would say, or what my mom would say, or, well, you know, I cannot do this because I'm a mom, or because I'm this old, or because I'm this young, or because I'm too skinny, or because I've got blonde hair or black hair, or whatever, you know. There's always something. You can always come, look, just accept who you are, and that is fine. And for everybody, there is the thing for you, right? And you just, and it is within you. So there's no excuse really to say, oh, I can come up with loads of people that have started something completely new after the age of 60, 70. There's some, you know, there's some fashion icon women that started after they turned 70. So their age is not a thing. Age is not a thing, you know.
Yeah, it's like, don't put the limits on.
We are limitless. We are limitless.
Exactly. But it's so interesting because it's so easy to put to the limit is in our own thinking of like, well, but I can't do that for whatever reason. It's like, but it's like, no, you can. It's fascinating. I wanted to ask you about spirit guides and angels, and I wanted to ask you about how you see the kind of connection between working with spirit guides and angels and your intuition.
So my angels, I am a spiritual person. I'm not really a religious person. The angels came when I moved to the Bay of Plenty here, when we had first moved, and when just after I found my studio here in town, which was like a scary leap of faith, you know, because I was very aware of our financial situation and I had to sign a lease. It was a Sunday afternoon, it was beautiful weather, and the kids wanted to go to the beach, and they go, Mom, let's go to the beach. And I go, oh, I've got too much work. My mind wasn't quiet, you know, I've got too much work to do. And anyway, they got their wish. We did go. And my partner sat with them, and they were playing in the water and everything. And I just went for a walk. I love beachcombing and I love collecting things. I'm a gatherer. And I came across, and so I was thinking, because it was sort of like, I was thinking, you hear the waves, it's really relaxing, it's really nice. And I was looking in front of my feet as a beachcomber. That's what you do, you know, you look at the shells and things like that. Anyway, I found a piece, well, I saw a piece of driftwood and I saw an angel. And I thought, oh, so I picked up the wood and I actually felt energy through it, and I thought, well, this is weird. Because I'm also a little bit skeptical, right? Because that's how I grew. That's how I was brought up, right? So I go, oh, this is weird. But I looked at it and I was just feeling it and touching it and, you know, getting the sand off. And I saw in the I think shadows, cracks, I saw an angelic figure. And so I thought, well, I'll take it home. So that was my first one. It was not long after we had moved here, and the beginning of 2012. And so when I came home, I just washed it and I cleaned it, because of course there was still sand on it and everything. And I had no real idea. I just saw the wood speak to me in a way. And I think there was another moment where I was just open to receive. You know, I had too much going on in my head. I didn't really want to be on that beach. I gave in for the kids. So I started walking and I really tried to empty my mind. And if you've ever listened to any of Esther open the door. It's really opening the doors, you know, emptying your mind in a way. Emptying my mind is never empty, but it's sort of opening that up. And I think I was just open to receive. And so I was cleaning this wood, and when it was dry the next day, I thought, oh, you know, so I just picked it up again and I held it. And I have a wood burner. And I don't know, I just allowed spirit take the wheel, I guess, you know. So I sat down and I turned the wood burner on, and I just started following what the wood was telling me, following cracks, following shadows. And so that first angel that came out, I was like, oh wow, look, there, you know, that's actually really cute.
Yeah, nice.
And so I shared it in an online arty group that I was part of, and immediately I got a private message from somebody, and she said, do you want to sell her? And I really never made her to sell. And I thought, oh, and she had this whole story about it with her adoptive daughter, and I thought, well, that's where it should go.
Yeah.
Shoot, here you go, shoot. That's the proper place for it to go. And so I, you know, we made an exchange, and she had paid me. And as I was wrapping it up to go to the United States, I suddenly got this, I thought, oh my gosh, no, it needs to go through customs. It's wood, it won't go through customs. So I looked it up online, and driftwood can go everywhere. And I thought, well, look, driftwood can go everywhere. And so no problem at all. So I just put it on the parcel, what it was, and she received it, and it was beautiful. And so whenever I found another piece, I would take it home. Now I have to say, I've sold so many. I make them also in commission work. I have special beaches where I go after storms because I know that. And also this, you know, in the beginning it was like every haphazard visit to the beach, I would pick up what I would find. Now I sometimes make special trips because it's like a day trip almost to go to these places. And I will just collect, but I don't take every piece, you know. I need to feel them, and when they talk to me, I'll take them.
I was going to ask you that, actually, whether you like felt like doubt of whether you're sometimes like, oh no, this isn't like, I don't know. This isn't
I sometimes see a piece and I pick it up, and if I don't feel anything, then I'll just throw it back. It's for the ocean. You know, I always think like, yeah, the ocean god or gives me what he wants to give me, you know? And then so this is really energy work. In the beginning also, this is something that in the beginning when I talked about it, I thought, oh, people will think I'm crazy. But now also, again, I don't really care, you know, because I know what it does for others. Like I see it now. I'll bring one. So here's one.
Oh, wow.
So she's not completely finished. She's only burned. And this one I'm actually going to keep. Whenever I'm going to buy a house, she will be my door handle, because she is like curved a little bit, and I can attach her like that. So amazing. So I burn the lines, and they're always imperfectly perfect because they are proportional. Look at their funny little arm, you know, like they're not proportionally correct. They have, their necks are sometimes too long, their arms are weird. They sometimes have 2 wings, sometimes have 1 wing, sometimes like depends on the wood also, you know, but they sort of come out of the wood how they are. And then I paint them afterwards. I paint them. I feel it like when I pick up a piece, I feel the energy that's in there. Then my process of working with them, I add my energy to it. And then when they are finished and they go to their forever home, that's where they breathe out all that energy. So I have a lot of healers that get them, they adopt them for their treatment rooms, for their spaces where they do healing work, and also for people sometimes to just have in their house as guardians, as protectors. Gorgeous. So they really are, they really hold space, and they breathe out their energy into the space. So do I believe, I've always believed in in like your own guardian angel, always, even though I wasn't really religious. I always thought like, yeah, we have a guardian angel, everybody walks around with one, or a couple. And then animal spirit guides, yes, definitely. I think we have a whole, if you open yourself to that, and if you want, I think that we all have a sort of a background choir that is there for us, like a guardian angel or a couple, and some spirit guides in whatever shape or form you see them. Sometimes it can just be an energetic feeling. It doesn't really have to have an image. I'm very visual, so I usually visualize them in a way, but sometimes it's just a color. Sometimes I feel something as just being a sort of an aura, I
think it's interesting there, of the thing of allowing yourself to see it in the way that you see it as well, of like, of knowing and yeah, not feeling, it's the not feeling as though there's the right way you should see this. If you have guides, then you should see them like this, or you know what I mean, like allowing yourself to feel it. I think that's part of the opening your intuition to it, isn't it?
Yeah. I well, again, that's my belief. And what is a belief? A belief is actually that you trust something to be true without having proof, right? Yeah.
You made me think when you were telling us about the angels, that I was talking to a friend the other evening who, she's a musician, but she's a beautiful singer, but she's always struggled with the kind of like singing live and feeling like when she says that she'd feel kind of, she'd receive kind of downloads of songs, but then she would feel that when she sang them, she felt like, oh, she would feel all uncomfortable. But then she was talking to somebody recently who said that the receiving of the song and her sharing it it's not meant for her. The singing, she's singing it to whoever, and it's meant for those people who are hearing her songs. And I felt your angels made me think of that, of like that. If you sing that on the beach and then somebody messaging saying,
you're like a post office.
Exactly. And I think that in so many
conduit, well, I mean, there's beautiful word for it, right? You're a conduit, like you absorb the energy and you give it out in a different way. But
and instead of getting stuck or feeling that, well, I don't know how to do this, or this isn't the way that I should be doing it, or whatever, it's like just allowing it to go through you, because it is for somebody else. It's not just for you. Like,
it's for some. That's how, and that's if you can approach life, most of life in that way, that you will lead an easier life. So if you think about whatever, because I used to be very shy. I had a hard time speaking in public, even doing like interviews online like this. I went to Toastmasters to improve my public speaking capacity, like why do we constantly look for certificates and validations and all that? Look, yes, maybe my English is not my first language. I speak it every day, but I still feel that in my original language, which is Dutch, I have more nuances. I can speak in different shades, different shades even. And even though I've been here many years, it gets better and better, but there's still something about your first language that is probably always better, but never mind, I mean, for me, that was a hindrance. Like I saw that as a problem, because I wouldn't be able to speak the words in the way that I wanted, especially because I like to talk about the deeper things in life, I sort of like philosophize a little bit, and and then I go like, I get stuck on the words. So I start to describe it in different ways so that I at least can get it out, but then it doesn't come out the same way I wanted. And will people receive it that way? But here's the thing: the people that listen to me are the people that need to hear it. If they find my accent disturbing, if they find the way I say things disturbing or not fitting, then they are not for me. They're not my audience. They are somebody else's who is probably a lot more eloquent in their in their word choices and all that, you know? And so
Yeah.
it's okay. And if you can you can understand that that is the case with most things. The way I paint is not for everybody. The way you paint is not for everybody.
Yeah.
We can paint the same tree and come out with, you know, you give a whole class the same object to paint, and you have different paintings, unless you tell them to go, this is your first step and this is your second step, and you have to do it this way, otherwise you cannot go to step 4, you know. But if you let people just express themselves, then from the same thing come so many different outcomes, and every outcome is for somebody.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's such a powerful way of approaching everything. It's like,
it's
accepting,
acceptance. It's acceptance. Because look, I mean, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's perfect. You look at the people are around you in your family or your work, you know, nobody's perfect, but do you like them any less because of it? Oftentimes we like them more because of it.
Yeah.
You know? So why do you have to be perfect then in your eyes? You know, we're actually really hard on ourselves.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? It's that thing of like looking outside and seeing how you like why you love. It's not because someone's doing something perfect, and yet why don't you love yourself for the same reasons? It's like
because we're so hard on ourselves. Because you don't ask your loved ones what they see, how they see you.
Yeah.
Ask your loved ones, your kids, your family members, your husband, your partner, your best workmates or your best playmates. I don't know, you know, somebody at a dance school, wherever you go, you know, ask them what do you like about me? You know, what do you like about me?
Yeah. Lovely. Joyce, I'm aware that I'm chattering on with you for hours.
I know, it's nice. It's nice.
It's lovely, really lovely. But yes, so I want to ask you about, we have talked already about the sort of angels and the collecting and gathering things, but in terms of what kind of creative practices that you do, we talked about it being a practice as well of that helps you connect to your intuition. And are there anything specific that you sort of do on a daily basis or
on a daily basis? Well, I put pencil or pen or ink or whatever to paper on a daily basis. And so and you also asked to share a creative activity. Yes. So I think I called it line up. Did I call it line up? Don't know. What did I call it?
I think sure it is line.
Hey?
I'll write line up down and make sure that that is.
Yeah, it's line up. It's line up. So yes, I wrote down line up. So line up basically means we start with a line. You know, you start with a line. Line up, you can say a line up with yourself. So this is very intuitive. This is a very intuitive exercise where you only need a piece of paper and something to make a line. Like it's a pencil or a pen or a felt pen or an ink pen, whatever, or it could be charcoal, could be a crayon. You know, if you don't have anything and you've got a kid and they have some crayons in a box, then grab a crayon. You know, really make it work. Just make it work. Just a piece of paper, or if you don't even have that, a piece of a box, a cardboard. You know, I always think like you don't have to go out and buy stuff. If you want to practice something, just do something with what you have. And then I will guide you through how to begin, because that's the thing, right? How to begin an exercise like that. What I love about this exercise is that you begin with bringing yourself in this space so that you can actually begin making the mark. And mark making is in a way an expression of your moment at that moment, at that time. And so what I also do, but that's something then that would be afterwards, you know, and people are free to contact me if they want to. I can also translate what the mark making says. You know?
That's interesting.
Like, so because it is a language in a way, it is an expression. So you speak, and I have sometimes I go back through journals from months ago, and I recognized something, and now it suddenly clicks like, look at that, what I did there. And this is what is the meaning of it. This must have been the meaning of it. It is like,
Fascinating.
again, connect this to your law of attraction. When they say like, how do you manifest things? You manifest things by putting your thoughts to something. When you do your line work, sometimes whatever you have written there, whatever you have marked there, will translate for you in the future. You know? Because it is something that you are expressing at this moment, that is something that is from deep within you. It's like from your soul self, from your core.
Yeah.
And then you can reread that later back. And oftentimes you will see what it, you know, and that is how you can start to create your own marked language. Yeah, because you can also start to recognize certain things. When you feel a certain way, you are sort of bound to make this symbol or this mark or this, you know, or this stroke. And then if you're an artist, that, you know, if you do that kind of practice regularly, then you will start to recognize your own handwriting, your own language. Yeah.
That's why it being a practice is so powerful, isn't it? Because that's how, whatever it is that you're doing, is by repeating it, that you're, that's where you learn, get the insights, I suppose.
And I can go back, like I can go back into works that I've done a couple of years ago, and they will translate slightly different today as they did then, you know, but still there is that power in them, and I can make a connection with that image then, and then I go like, wow, this is so fitting for how I feel today because of this. Look, this must have been already in me at that moment, and it just oozes, it keeps breathing, you know. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I know, sorry. It's lucky it wasn't yesterday morning. They were chopping a tree down. I came out here and was like, oh my goodness, thank God that wasn't tomorrow. Fabulous. I'm looking forward to doing the practice. And I did just want to quickly ask or mention that you said there about before you sit down, before you actually do the drawing, that you kind of like have a centering moment. And I was talking, can't remember who, I was talking to a few people, can't remember who, but about for me, that's a really important part of it as well. It's like bringing, if I just start creating without that sort of initial centering, that then I don't get at all the same. It just doesn't work as well for me. I think that's the thing. Like
so that's my free gift. That is also part of this, right? The Whispers of Wisdom. So the Whispers of Wisdom are that. They are like those, you know, it's a series of those that you can use before you begin. Yeah.
Brilliant. Marvelous. Yeah. Lovely. Well, thank you very much. It's been so lovely to talk to you today, Joyce.
You're welcome.
I'm really glad to have met you and to be talking to you when it isn't pitch black here and morning there. It's like, wow, we're nearly the same time, not too far.
Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. Enjoy the rest of your time in Australia.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Oh, I have to work out how to stop there. There we go.
Okay. Bye.